Very much, Mr. Benjamin Adule. I hope I got the name right.
Yes, you did.
All right. So it's wonderful to have you on the show today. Um, this is a show where we try to provide information for entrepreneurs to be able to improve what they do. And we're excited that you are here this morning to join us to look at issues that have to do with access to finance for smallholder farmers. Now, this is one area that is critical if we must get it right in terms of in terms of moving our agricultural sector to the next level. And now, this is because smallholder farmers comprise about 88% of all Nigerian farmers. Okay, 88%. So that is huge in itself. It tells you that you know if we can get half of this number to be more productive, then solving the problem of uh, uh, you know poverty will be a very, very minor issue for us as a people. And so it gives me great pleasure to have you this morning, knowing that you are working in this space and possibly you have uh, a solution to how we can better solve this problem. So let's begin this conversation by us first and foremost. Um, what is your organization? Just like a way of introduction, who you are and what your organization is into.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Sai. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, I can.
All right. Um, Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Benjamin Aduli. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Mechanized Agricultural Investments and Services Limited. Our acronym is MICE. We have identified this opportunity over 15 years ago, and we have started building an ecosystem to ensure that we can provide an end-to-end solution to smallholder farmers across Nigeria. So we have built a network of partners who are working with us to ensure that smallholder farmers can access funding. Um, However, funding is not the only problem of access of smallholder farmers. We group the problem into three phases, which forms the basis of our service offering, namely access to capital, access to technology, and access to market. These are the three systems that smallholder farmers need to be productive, and we operate in these three spaces as well.
All right, this is very interesting. You operate in these three stages of, you know, uh, helping the smallholder farmers to be able to become more productive. Now, we know that these smallholder farmers, like I said before, 88% of them, uh, uh, I mean, 88% of Nigerian farmers are smallholder farmers. And we know that they also a day. So which is to say that you know majority of them are as poor as you can think of. Um, how do you intend to how are you working with these people to support them from coming out of poverty?
Well, the starting point of engaging with the farmers is profiling. First, we profile all the farmers into a cooperative group, a cluster, from where the support is provided. So every farmer that wants to engage with us start with compiling our KYC documents, which gives us the basic information about who the farmer is, where the farmer is based. And then from there, we can then refer the farmer to the closest cooperative to him. Or if none is close to the farmer, we get that farmer to start the process of forming a cluster or a cooperative. Our cooperative are product based, so we have different cooperatives in different production cycles. For example, we have rice farmers in Kebbi State, we have rice farmers in Niger State, we have um, rice farmers in Benue State, we also have rice farmers in Anambra State. Now, we also have fish farmers in Lagos, in a area of Lagos. We're also working now to taking that cluster into Oshu State as well. So the foundation of our model is cooperative clustering. We cluster the cooperatives within production groups so that it is easy to provide services for them. For example, one of the services we provide to the farmers is mechanization. We work with Hello Tractor, which is uh, a company that is based in the US but have its headquarters in Nigeria that provides tractor as a service to our smallholder farmers. What that means is that our farmers does not need to buy tractors, just like the way Uber works, where you don't need to buy a taxi to use an Uber. So our farmers do not need over some hours where the tractor come and work for them, just like taxi picks you up in Uber platform, drops you off, and that contract is ended. So also a farmer can lease a tractor for 8 hours, 2 hours, depending on his land mass and the kind of services he wants from the tractor provider, and he's done and dusted. Provider, farmers must operate in cluster so that you don't have a situation where a tractor is needed and that is needed in Nasawa. It becomes too scattered. But if they are working in cluster, those tractors areas where there are cluster of farmers, so I can provide them with harvesting program such that it is cost effective and we can manage our leakages or whatever comes out of it in that process. Now, that cluster arrangement also assists in the funding because in providing the financing, we work through the fund for the cooperative, who then on-lend to the farmers, who then provide them with an offtake market. So the basis of our operations with the farmers, therefore, within the smallholder group is cooperative clustering within the cooperative.
Now, this is very, very exciting for me because the cooperative framework is something that I've been proving time and time again to be effective in dealing with people at this rung of the ladder, as the case may be. Now, one of the issue as well within that space is the cost of these processes, the cost of uh, access to, like you talk about the equipment, the machineries, being able to avail uh, these farmers, smallholder farmers, access to these tools to be able to become more productive. We're going to come to access to capital, but let me take you on the access to these equipments. At what cost? Does it get to these people, knowing that again, one of the issue at the end of the day will be about their ability to be able to pay for the cost of accessing this equipment. So how flexible, how expensive or cheap are these equipments?
All right, let's narrow it down to specifics. Say, for example, tractor services. Our tractors are priced based on time and uh, space, as it were. We have been able to do analysis of the tractor market, and we have also found out, just like you, that cost is a big issue for the smallholder farmers. But by aggregating the farmers into clusters, we have been able to manage their cost such that the consummate costs of providing this service to the farmers becomes uh, kind of subsidized to a price that the farmers can afford to pay for the tractor services.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Now, so that is interesting. So let's look at, because another key issue for smallholder farmers. Oh boy, network has taken Mr. Benjamin out of the platform. Um, I believe he's going to come back. So just bear with us. We're going to get him back in few seconds. This is the challenge that we have had, on this program. And it can be very frustrating where you are having a very, very, you know, uh, wonderful conversation, and suddenly the network will just throw the person off the platform. Um, so please, Mr. Benjamin, can you join the conversation back? Um the the audience is still waiting for you. Um, we need to come and complete this conversation with us. Okay, I think we have him back now. Okay, so thank you for coming back. This is the challenge we have with network issues. And so we just have to continue to manage it as best as we can. So I want us to quickly go into um, one of the major issues, because like you rightly said in your introduction, or in your first response to one of my questions, that there are about three challenges for smallholder farmers. And so I want us to deal specifically on one of them, which is access to capital. We know that capital is a key factor of production, like labor and land and labor and capital. Um, and so let's deal with this issue of capital, because I understand that is one of the areas where your organization is deeply working in. So give us a preview, a background, or an overview of your product in terms of enhancing access to capital for smallholder farmers.
Well, thank you very much. We have to practically build a brand new solution to address the issue of access to capital. And that is something that we call assured invest methodology. We did a survey, and we find out that for most capital interested in working within the SME space, the biggest concern is security of capital. So we then started working on a product that can provide that security for small and medium enterprise funds who are willing to finance SMEs as well. That product is a hybrid of insurance uh, and three other financial subsectors, namely capital market, money market, and development finance market, to provide a hybrid solution that can effectively address the concerns of the funders who are willing to finance small and medium enterprises. Now, this is interesting because you find out that the capital demand of that sector is very huge compared to the availability of capital for that sector, which is very small. So by
Oh boy, network again has done the unimaginable. Okay, just be patient with us. Let's be patient with the network. It's going to come back now. It's going to come back shortly. I hope that the network will get better. And so just bear with us, and a few seconds or a few minutes from now, Mr. Benjamin Adule will join us back. Um, let's just be patient for a while and see how we go from here. I want him to really speak on, this issue of this access to capital for for smallholder farmers, because this is an issue that has been a problem for stakeholders in the agribusiness sector. We are thinking that the product that Mr. Benjamin is selling is very, yes,
I'm
I
back
think
now.
he's back here now.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay, you are welcome. So
So
can you continue with your line of thought?
yes, I was explaining that we have a special SME funding solution which we call Assured Invest. Now, what that does is it provides a hybrid solution that addresses the major issues in providing funding for small and medium entrepreneurs. One of those major issues is the issue of security of capital for the investor. Assured Invest provides a pool of funds that guarantees an investor that the worst case scenario is that not he will lose his interest on the funding, not his principal. So his principal investment is guaranteed by the fund. So it's a kind of insurance guarantee, but it's more than insurance. It's more than insurance because insurance only guarantee you when there's a loss. What Assured also work
I,
extensively with regulators to ensure that this product is approved by the regulators. And then we've also worked with the investors who understand the methodology and are able to work with us to provide funding for SMEs through the platform.
okay, so now I want to clarify something. You guarantee investors that are investing in the smallholder farmers space. Is that what it is?
That's correct.
Okay, so now without the investors, that means you don't guarantee anything. And so my point is, because the issue is the investors, we have a situation where investors are very limited. As we speak now, I have various people asking me for investors to come and invest in their product. Okay. I don't have investors that are asking me for a guarantee of their investment. So how do you match, this mismatch? Because for me, the critical element that needs to be improved in this space, smallholder access to finance space, is having enough of investors that are coming in. Let me give an example. If you look at the United States, there is what is known as Silicon Valley, although we have the issues pertaining to Silicon Valley Bank failure and all that. But you discover that Silicon Valley Bank was a specific bank, a niche bank that was focused on investing or working in the tech ecosystem. Okay. So they have investors and investment that are channeled to the tech ecosystem. So my point is, how do we build such an ecosystem of investors before we can now, rely on your company to secure these investors and their investment?
We are building the investor ecosystem as well. The Assured Invest ecosystem also have SME-friendly investors who are willing and interested in investing in smallholder farmers. Um, Presently, we have a network of impact investors who are interested in not just investing for profit, but also interested in investing for impact. So we're already growing the ecosystem. So we are not just providing guarantees, we are also building a network of SME investors who are willing to invest and accept our guarantees. Because our guarantees are unique, not every investor accepts them. So we have gone ahead to build a network of investors who are conversant with our methodology and are willing to accept our guarantees to provide.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm having a kind of an emergency here, but they are working on it to put the power back. We have emergency power failure, so but they are working on the alternative, which is to power our own generating system, generating set, so that we can have power. But I don't know. Have you finished your line of thought in this regard? Because it's a you say that you also have a network of investors. Okay. So I would like you to speak more in that. How does it work? Your investors, do they invest directly? Do they deal directly with the smallholder farmers, or there is a process that you have in place that the smallholder farmers will have to pass through before getting to the investors?
All right, let me speak specifically now on one of our investors who is currently investing in SME smallholder farmers. They are called Agrofin. Agrofin is an SME fund based in Geneva that specifically developed to invest in smallholder farmers across Africa. The fund is presently available in Nigeria, South Africa, Liberia, and South Africa, and Kenya. Now, the fund is presently investing in Naira and is investing anywhere from between 5 million to 50 million in any single SME farmer, SME smallholder farmers. The funding is invested through a combination of equity and debt. Typically, it is structured as 7% equity and 93% debt, depending on the economical production of the farmer. The reason is because the farmer is expected to have 5% equity, while the off-taker who off-take the produce of the farmer provides 5% equity, and the fund provides 90% of the balance funding. But 7% equity holdings is mandatory by the fund to offset some of the extra costs for the funds, which include cost of guarantee, um, cost of other logistics, and then cost of extension services, which is mandatory for the operation of the farm. At present, the fund is coming at 9% interest per year. For those who qualify, for the farmers who qualify for a pilot, their cost could come down to 7% uh, for the funds. Uh, Interest of the fund presently revolves around paddy rice farming, catfish, the aquaculture system, maize farming, pepper farming, tomato farming. Uh, these are not exclusive. We are still willing to look at other value chains, but these ones I've mentioned are the value chains that we already have the economical production, and we can see clearly from end to end how the farmers will make profit. So if we have farmers in any of this ecosystem who are willing to apply for funding at the moment, there's enough pool of funds to meet the demands of these farmers. While we are growing the ecosystem and admitting more SME, more smallholder farmers into the ecosystem.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So let me come back to you again. You talked about 5% equity from the farmer and 5% equity from the off-taker. That is 10%. 90% is now being uh, taken by the investor. Am I correct?
That's correct.
So who brings the off-taker? Because
We
you and
bring
I,
the we bring the Africa. We bring the Africa.
okay, so your company brings the off-taker.
That's correct. Yes.
So another issue, another sticking point here is that people want to find answers to is how does this off-taker model works? Because if I don't bring in the off-taker, how are you going to structure the price, so that to ensure that the smallholder farmers does not feel uh, taken advantage of, or does not feel, being uh, be shortchanged, as the case may be. So, what is the arrangement with the off-taker? How does it work? Are you there, Mr. Benjamin? I can see your network is still also very still fluctuating.
Can you see me? I can see
Hello.
you. Yeah,
Yes, I
I
can
can.
see you.
Okay.
You are on
So,
now.
okay, I said the pricing for the produce are market determined. So we primarily will buy from the farmer at the farm gate price. So whatever the farm gate price is what we'll buy. However, there is a second option for the farmer where the farmer can opt for a static pricing. A static pricing model is where the price for the produce is agreed with the farmer ab initio before the farming is done. That way, he is not subject to the variables of the market. If a farmer finds this pricing more comfortable, we are also very open to static pricing. But a dynamic pricing model, which is what we are currently running, is where the produce are priced according to the market price at the farm gate at the point of harvest. So those are the two pricing mechanisms we have for the produce.
Okay, that is impressive. So, let's look at the interest rate regime that you talked about. You said it's 9%.
That's
Uh,
correct. That's correct.
is it per annum or
Yes, per,
per?
per, per
eh,
annum.
Because where I want you to kind of clarify this is that there are different farm season for different farm products. Like you identified, some of the produce or products that the investment is actually looking at the moment. Um, and so this interest rate, applies to all the sectors and is going to be per annum for all the sectors.
That's correct. Because the money is provided for the farmers on an annual basis as well. It's not based on the farm cycle. So the farmers may have to be smart about it so that they can also maximize the use of funds when they are not farming. So we also encourage the farmers, therefore, to have some kind of treasury operation so that when you are not farming, you can maximize your money so that you don't have idle funds that you are paying costs for without making use of it. We do have a training in-house where we also train farmers to be able to use the funding effectively so that uh, say you borrowed 100 million and you farm for 3 months or 5 months. Then in 7 months, what are some investments you can make with this money to make sure you cover your cost of funds? These are training we also run in-house for our farmers network through the cooperative that we work with as well.
That is very interesting. Now, um, can you tell us um, what is the process of applying for this fund, and what is the timeline and tenor for these funds?
Starting with the tenor is quite clear. I've said the tenor is uh, usually between 3 and 10 years, depending on the farm produce. Process is straightforward. We have a KYC template which we will share with you. And any other farmer who is interested, you just complete the template, the KYC, and return to us. We'll do a little background check on them, and then we can make an offer. From when an offer is made and an agreement is signed, we expect that within 3 weeks maximum, we would have completed the engagement process and then tie the contract into a smart contract on a blockchain because the entire infrastructure is powered by a blockchain. So once we tie the contract into a blockchain and the contract is executed, we activate, and within 2 weeks, the funds are disbursed. The funds are disbursed in two ways, in two streams. One stream, usually which forms the bulk of the money, goes to the agric extension officer of the farm, who manages the disbursement, while the other part of the fund for operations goes to the company's account in the bank directly.
Okay. Now, can you tell us, you mentioned that if a farmer meets certain qualification, you also mentioned the fact that once a farmer applies, uh, you do some form of background check to ascertain whether the person is, truly fit and proper to receive this facility. Can you give us a sense of what the criteria for assessing these funds is like, so that from the one, uh, a farmer or a somebody that intends or is thinking about applying should be able to know whether he or she will meet with the set criteria?
Well, the criteria is quite straightforward. The most critical criteria for me, from my experience dealing with SMEs, is having the 5% equity available. That's what SMEs appears to find most difficult. Most SMEs who have the 5% equity and has a proper economic of production will qualify. Those are the two most critical things. Economic of production that is well developed, and then 5% equity contribution. If farmers have that, they are most likely will qualify for the fund.
Okay, so that we don't bamboozle our audience with words that they will find difficult to understand. Can you explain what you mean by economic of production?
Economic of production is simply a spreadsheet that tells me as a funder or as a capital provider, what are your assumptions for going into the farm. Uh, Say you are doing fish farming, how many fish do you need to farm to make money? How many fish are you putting in a pond? How are you going to feed them? What is the projection in terms of feed? So it gives me an idea of what you want to do, basically. That way, I have a basis to measure what you want to do and what profit can you make, so that I can make some decisions about investing in your business. That's what economics of production is.
Interesting. So tell us, so far you listed some areas, some states uh, where you have presence. In terms of volume, what have you been able to do in terms of volume of investment uh, in these states or in these cooperatives?
Um, in Kirby State presently, between Kirby and Niger State, we have a network of 2,500 rice farmers, which we are about expanding to 5,000 farmers. Um, they are all rice farmers, particularly growing the long grain brand of rice. In uh, Lagos, in Ekpe area, we have a network of fish farmers, now over 60 farmers within a cluster who are primarily growing fish. In the process of expanding with the working with the Eredu local government, with the local government in that stage to also expand their operation. Um, that particular one is a very exciting one because local government now is trying to see how to work with them as a cluster of fish exporters within that local government area. In Plateau, we are about starting to work with a new cooperative there who are organizing the mango farmers into a cluster as well for possible export of mango from the Benue axis. In Benue, Kogi State, we have over 3,000 farmers in Kogi State in 8 local governments farming rice as well. So here, these are a sample of examples of the ones we currently have on our ecosystem.
That is impressive. Now, let me ask specifically, because I understand that the FCT, um, one of the agencies in FCT is actually, trying to put up a very comprehensive database of farmers in FCT, smallholder farmers and all that, all categories of farmers in FCT. And I think they will be very much willing to work with you to provide access to funding for these categories of farmers that will be in this database, because they are working to see that at the click of a button, um, an investor, for instance, will be able to identify the different types of farm and their locations in FCT and their sizes, every detailed information that they will be in need of. Like you talk about economic of production, to formulate um, their theory on whether to move forward with investment and otherwise. But I want to understand, um, what is the timeline for assessing this fund, and what is the assurance for a farmer that is able to meet up with this 5% equity and that have this economic of production? What is the timeline and the assurance? Because in this space, why I'm asking this question is because in this space we are aware also that a lot of fraudulent activities have been playing out and other. So can you give us a timeline and an assurance of what your product is able to achieve for these farmers in FCT?
It will be great if we can have a government agency within the FCT doing that preliminary groundwork, because to make our work a lot easier. Uh, I will be in Abuja later this week, most likely on Wednesday or Thursday. So if it's possible to arrange a meeting, I'll be very available to meet with them. Um, Timelines, I have said before that uh, anywhere from between 3 weeks and 5 weeks is the most likely timeline for assessing the fund. And agriculture is a very timely thing. Uh, it's not something you can always do whenever you want it. Some produce are time bound, some produce are seasonal in nature. So we take all of that into cognizance in structuring the funding as well. So a lot will depend on what farming type are you doing, or within what ecosystem is it seasonal. But in the assuming that those issues are addressed, I can assure you that 5 weeks is the maximum lead time for getting funding.
It's okay. Let me digress a bit. Yeah, you have made it very clear you are into the um, farmer space. Is there anything you do in terms of technology? Somebody that is having a technological platform and needs some form of investment into it. Do you have any product that services such a space as well?
For now, we will only touch it if such technology provides some value add to our farmers network. That's the only basis for which we will touch any technology. So if you have any fintech or any technology that is providing some value added services to our farmers network, we're very willing to look at how we can invest in it.
Okay, that is fair enough. Okay, so from your experience now, as we begin to wrap up this conversation, thankfully, you said you'll be coming into Abuja this week. I will try as much as possible to structure a meeting for you so that we'll meet up with these people. The work is massive. Is actually I have a partner that is directly uh, the person developing this technology for them. So I will speak with him, and I know he will be interested because, like we talk about value add now, his own contract with this agency is to develop this platform. I know there are a lot of things he intends to do with that platform with the government agency, but I don't think there was uh, the aspect of him providing investment. And so you coming in, and of course, we give him that added leverage, to make the platform a bit more sophisticated and more value driven for everybody. So it's a welcome development, I can tell you. But can you tell us now, um, like you have your investment spread out, and we're talking about FCT now, we're talking about working with an agency of government for possibly all the farmers in FCT. What, in terms of budget size, what amount of budget in terms of investment do you think you can mobilize for FCT?
It's need driven. A lot will depend on the data that even come out of FCT itself. The fund is dynamic. It grows. It's a pool of fund. If you understand how we raise funding, you understand this clearly. We are all
Your network is down again. Another downtime with your network.
also
But
in the looking for funding as well. So if we
okay, so can you
on the
can you
blockchain
please can you
ecosystem,
please
so
can you rewind a
um,
bit because we lost you
what I
at
can
the
tell you
point.
is just be rest assured that we can provide once the data is proper. Um, if you look at
Okay, we'll be wrapping up this
the
conversation.
agri pool of fund I mentioned, worry about that. I can tell you that once we have the data, we will be able to get the money.
It's okay. Network has not been very friendly with us, so we would like to wrap it up at this point. Do you have any additional information you would like to add?
No, I'm fine.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Benjamin Adule, the CEO of Omobile and CEO Mechanized Agri. Mechanized what again?
Mechanized Agricultural Investments and Services Limited, MICE.
MICE, Mechanized Agricultural and Investment Services Limited. MICE. Thank you very much for joining us. We're going to bring you back possibly after your trip to Abuja, and the conversation that will come out of it. We'll bring you back on this platform to share, the story and what your projections will be like moving forward. Thank you so
Well,
much for joining
that's
us.
fine. But just a moment. Is this recorded? This program, is it recorded? Something
Yes,
that we can? Okay. All right. That's great. All
yes, yes, it's recorded.
right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Uh,